Hello, and welcome to episode 89 of the SheGulls podcast, powered by Albion Obsessed. I'm your host, Duncan. I'm joined today by fellow Albion fans, Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Duncan.
By Claire. Hello, Claire.
Hello, Duncan.
And by Abby. Hello, Abby.
Hello, Duncan.
And we're hoping everyone on the interweb is seeing us and hearing us. If not, they shall do very soon, I'm sure. Hopefully you guys have all been enjoying the new video edition of the podcast, and hopefully what we're saying on the audio podcast makes at least some sense. We're trying to remember that we need to describe things for people who are listening to the audio, so you just bear with us on that. We're getting used to it. We are. Yes, and I can see in the comments already we have had confirmation we are live. People can see and hear us. So, you know, I mean, what more do you want, you know, from a podcast? There we go. It's actually been a bit of a busy week in a way. There's been lots of football on. No Brighton Hove Albion, obviously, unfortunately. We were delayed in our WSL return because of Chelsea, of course, being in the League Cup final and winning. Very tiny round of applause for that.
They were terrible goals.
Terrible goals. Yeah.
Really ugly, horrible, terrible, rubbish goals.
Is there?
Yeah.
He's such a good loser.
Yes. It wasn't exactly the sort of back and forth, ding dong battle that we were hoping for, but that's how it goes sometimes. Especially. We have the FA Cup final at Wembley, and the League Cup final takes place at I think it was Ashton Gate, wasn't it? Yeah. So the pitch it looked okay, but it's no Wembley Stadium.
It's a nice little stadium, but it's a long way to go for the two travelling fans, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's not many teams that are sort of local to Bristol other than Bristol, really, to be quite frank with you. So, I mean, as I say, Chelsea won the League Cup. We have to play them on Wednesday. Is it a good time to play them? Is it a bad time to play them? We don't know. We'll find out on Wednesday, I guess. But there's been plenty of international action. So we'll be talking all about that. Obviously, because of when we record on a Monday, we've got actually 2 games to preview. So that's pretty cool. We'll get obviously the Chelsea game on Wednesday out of the way, and then we're looking ahead to Liverpool on Sunday back at home. So that'll be coming up in the second part, and we'll also have a little chat about our little international women's do shindig last week on Tuesday. That went down rather well with the community, so we thought we'd do a bit of a chat about that at the same time. So I think what we'll do is we'll start with the international news. First of all, I'm going to say that we're not going to really particularly talk about the England games, partly because I think probably everyone who listens and watches to us tends to see, and also as Ben likes to say, so we are going to talk, I think, first.
Nice to see Poppy get her first cap, though. That was
So we've got 3 players out playing in that at the moment. It's still ongoing. I think we're at the semi-final stage now. They're just coming up.
Just done the quarters.
So I think Australia are playing tomorrow, and then maybe Japan the day after, perhaps. I'm not sure. But certainly the semi-finals are incoming, and I mean it looks set up for an Australia-Japan final, but I'm sure they'll.
It looks set up for an all Seagulls final.
We're going to have one Asian Cup winner, probably. We can't say 100% for sure. No. If anyone, it's probably been Australia that have looked the more likely to come a cropper. It's obviously in their in their backyard. We will see, but
maybe his lucky number is 9, but obviously 9 is too early in the game to take players off, so he's going with 63.
Could be, unless you're that Tottenham goalkeeper, then 9 minutes they probably should have taken him off.
Probably should have took him off.
That might have been before he made those errors, bless him.
I'll just jump in, Duncan. Kiko came on in the 63rd minute. She didn't go off.
Beg your pardon, yes. Yeah. I've even written on.
Because
not off.
If she hadn't, she would have had trouble scoring in the 92nd.
That's very true. That's very true. See, Ben is basically my sort of
the
audio
test
proofreader.
Just passed there, Ben.
Yeah, that was, good point, Claire. Yeah, that was a test just to see. I've written on as well rather than off. So, and yes, you're right. did score, and Moeka got a 7.8 for the game, so that's pretty good for a centre back.
Yeah.
These are from SofaScore, so as always, these are done. They're sort of calculated. They're not sort of fan decided. So, in theory, it should be relatively fair with the performances. And Kiko, she only came on in the 64th minute, like Ben said, but she got a 7.3 mainly by virtue of the fact that she scored in her short time on the field. So that was pretty good. Then we move on to 7th of March. That was the 11-0 victory over India. Moeka came on in the 63rd minute and Kiko went off in the 63rd minute, but I don't think they were substituted for each other. It just as coincidence. However, Kiko did score 2 before she was taken off, so that was pretty good. 8.5 for Kiko. He comes up good in the semis and the final. You know, we could have a Golden Boot winner as well as a Asian Cup winner. And then lastly for Japan, the 15th of March. So this was the quarterfinal, 7-0 against the Philippines. I've got no player ratings for that game at the moment, but Moeka played the full game. Kiko started but came off at half time. Do you concur with this, Ben?
Yes.
Yes.
Disappointing she didn't manage to get a goal in that one, but they didn't actually score until nearly half time.
No, strange.
But then it's got a floodgate.
Yeah, I guess the Philippines decided we do have to actually start trying to score now. We've gone one behind, and then obviously, like you say, floodgates. So I'll start with Abby, I think.
Okay. Yes.
With a shock. Kiko and Moeka, are you surprised that they seem to be doing rather well in the Asian Cup?
Not at all. We've seen their quality here, and it seems to be that the good players from Japan are coming here. So it stands to reason, as in not necessarily to Brighton, although they're all welcome, but to the WSL. And yeah, I think they're just, we've seen their quality. And also we've seen what, getting minutes with us has meant for them. So yeah, no, not surprised at all. We're missing them. It would have been jolly nice if Japan had gone out early and they could have come back for Chelsea. But for them and for Japan and Japanese football, I think it's fantastic. Really excited to see them. And they seem to be playing at relatively sensible times that we can watch, which is also quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a one thing or the other, isn't it? You either want them to go out really early so we can have them back, or you want them to win the thing.
Yeah,
you don't want them to get all the way up to the final and then lose in the final. Although,
that's going to be difficult if we've got Ko, Moeka, and Charlie in the final. Yeah. It's that's like all your kids in different houses at school. What do you do?
Exactly. Yeah. Although, you won't have to put a team to make yourself feel better if they lose. Because one way or another, someone's coming back with a nice medal, or maybe a little replica trophy. Claire, do you think we will? Abby touched on it a bit there. Do you think we will really miss those? Obviously, Moeka and Kiko, but also Charlie. Do you think we'll miss those three against Chelsea, or do you think we've got enough depth where we should still be able to put up a pretty good fight?
I think we should have enough depth, but we're definitely going to miss them, aren't we? They've played every time they're fit, they're playing, and to lose Charlie and Moeka both out of a 3-back line, you know what I mean? It's kind of a bit, but the other guys have had plenty of time to do a bit of training and get it together. And you never know. Sometimes you need a bit of disruption, don't you, to make things a little bit different. Chelsea won't know what to expect. They won't know who we're going to pick to play, whereas they would have done had we had our players available. They'd have been, that's going to be Moeka and that's going to be Charlie Rule. So now they won't know. But I think our biggest thing is missing Kiko is because she's our goal scorer, isn't she, at the moment? She's the one, if you're going to get a goal, you think it's possibly going to come from her. So it's a game where everybody else has got the opportunity to step up and take a claim themselves to these spots that they're not been allowed to play for the last, half a season. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we've got professionals in our squad. We've got experience now in the back three. Kind of Caitlin, I think, will come in. It's just a matter of, can we score a goal? And if we get a goal, can we defend it and hold on to it and beat Chelsea? Because that would be nice.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who sort of comes in for Kiko on that side, because obviously you could move someone who's already in the team, but then that opens up a spot somewhere else for someone to come in. So somewhere or another, someone has, we've got to have kind of two players.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we've got an opportunity for Bex Rayner maybe to come in on the right wing and have a go. Do you know what I mean? She's back now, fit and fighting and raring to go. She's not been on international duty, so she's had plenty of experience. Or you move Maddie across and you put Ollie on the left. That's that option as well, isn't there? So, I mean, I don't know. And it also depends on Fran, if Fran's starting the game or if she's going to do it first half and finish coming off the second half or whatever, because she's still coming back from an injury. So there's an opportunity there to put somebody like Ollie in Fran's position maybe and give it a go. I don't know. I hope that we turn up with an attacking mindset. That's all I'm hopeful for.
Yeah, exactly. The personnel is always is bound to change, but it's how you approach it with the personnel that you have, isn't it? So I know Dario said that, I
mean, great. I mean, they're basically two really good players in the middle of a really good squad. I mean, the Japanese squad, I think there's like 15 of them or 16 of them playing the WSL. And then, I think there's only about 5 that are in Japanese clubs, and that probably won't be much longer. And there's a couple in Germany, Mina Tanaka, who looks a lot like Kiko from a distance and is wearing number 11, which is really annoying. She's at Utah Royals, and there's a couple in Spain, one in Spain as well, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, they're just, I think they're probably the favourites. I think, China are the winners, and China are playing Australia in the other semi-final. So, but I think the quality of the Japanese team. I think I said it last week. I've really been enjoying watching Yui Hasegawa, because normally when she does stuff on a football pitch, you're going, no, stop it, because she's playing against you or something. But watching her play for Japan is just an absolute dream. She's amazing. And so it's been really good. I mean, there's obviously there's I don't know if this was like India's first championships or something like that, but I think they were there was a sort of enormous chasm of quality between India and Japan in that 11-0 game. Obviously, if they played cricket, then it might have been the other way around. But I think, obviously football isn't a huge game in India at the moment. But I mean, it's been really good fun. I think, like you said, most of the game. Annoyingly, I didn't see the Japan game against the Philippines, because it was at like 5 o'clock in the morning. But a lot of the games have been sort of starting about 9 o'clock, so you can sort of quickly sort of get a cheeky one in the morning kind of thing. It's quite nice. Sorry, again, back to the International Women's Day thing. I was chatting to Dario about that, and he said it's great because they can watch the games before training and stuff. It's been really good fun. But I mean, they I think, I mean, there's four good teams in the semis now, but I think Japan are kind of pretty much head and shoulders above the others at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously they are 4 good teams. And I think probably, like say, Australia and Japan would have been sort of the pre-tournament favourites. And I think Japan have looked pretty imperious in every game, whereas Australia, they have in some, but equally they've had a couple where they nearly came a bit of a cropper against North Korea, didn't they? And you sort of feel like if there's going to be a shock, or quote unquote shock, because like you say, China are the current champions. I think if there's going to be a surprise, let's say, it probably would be China to beat Australia, I think. would be more likely out of the two results. But you never know. It is football, and any given Sunday and all that. Not that the game's on a Sunday, but there we go. So obviously that's Japan discussed. So we're going to talk about our other entrant into the Asian Cup, which is Charlie Rule, who's playing for Australia. So I'll just run through very quickly on her sort of outings. So Australia kicked off the campaign with a 1-0 win over the Philippines, but Charlie did not play in that game.
That's why they only won 1-0.
I think probably why. Yeah, absolutely. On the 5th, they played Iran, and Charlie played the full game. She had a match rating of 7.6, so pretty good. I think she probably would have had a slightly bigger match rating, but she picked up a yellow card, which wasn't really her fault. I think, we might come on to that, but she sort of got sold down the river a little bit by, I think it was Alana Kennedy. She had a really good game. I think you do have to temper that with the fact that they were playing Iran. So, there we go. The 8th of March, they drew 3-3 with South Korea, and Charlie didn't play in that game either. So again, we're seeing a pattern. When they don't perform, it's because Charlie's not in the team. That was enough to put them through, but I think it put them through as runners-up. So that meant they played North Korea in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, South Korea had basically they were equal points with South Korea, but South Korea had a better goal difference because they put more past the Philippines. Right,
got you. That makes sense. So, 13th of March. So that's when the quarterfinal was. They beat North Korea 2-1. Although I didn't see the whole game, but they certainly. I watched the second half, and they were clinging on at the end.
Yeah.
But Charlie helped them do that. She came on in the 89th minute. Match rating of 6.4, but I mean, she was barely on the field. There was quite a bit of injury time. She probably was on there for nigh on 10 minutes, but she obviously didn't get on until she came on to sort of close the game out, as it were, and they managed to do so. So I think fair play to her there. Claire, do you think when you've watched Charlie play this season, are we starting to see like that international quality coming through, or do you think it's almost the reverse, where you think, okay, she's a good player, but then she plays for Australia, and you think, oh, okay, she's kind of holding her own with these players that we've all heard of, and a household name. So do you think it's kind of what we see is getting her in the team, or it's almost like once she's in the team, you can see her keeping up with them?
I mean, to be honest, I've not watched any Australian football, to be fair. I don't care. It's Australia, it's not my team. So unless they're playing England, I've not watched them. But, I think Charlie looks like what she is, which is a player coming back from a long-term injury with a new position to learn, and she's building confidence in that. And so sometimes she looks a little bit nervous and a little bit kind of like, oh, I'm going to turn back and come backwards. And then other times she goes marauding forward, and you're like, yes, let's do more of that. So, I don't know what position she plays in the Australian team, whether she's playing the same sort of position. But yeah, she looks exactly what she is, which is someone getting back on their feet, getting their confidence again, and getting back to the point where she probably was before she got injured, which was on the verge of that national squad. So we're fair play to her to have done it. She's back in, she's playing regularly for us. I don't think anyone's going to complain about any of the games that she's had. I can't think of anything where she's played really badly. So why wouldn't she be thought of and looked at as a potential player to be in that Australian squad? There's nobody in that squad that you'd kind of be that worried about as for her. I mean, not for us, obviously. For us, we're a bit worried about Carpenter and things, but you know what I mean? Like, I think she would look at them and think, yeah, I'm as good as, and I can be as good as, and if I just keep going, I can nudge my way in. So yeah, why not? I think fair play to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, Abby? Do you think like playing for the nationals, you can kind of, you need that, some players need that opportunity to kind of show what they can do, and then with that kind of boost of confidence, then they can kind of go on and take that back to, you know, Charlie come back to Brighton essentially and kind of go, well, look, I've played on this massive stage in front of, you know, tens of thousands of people for my nation. You know, I don't necessarily need to be as worried about playing in front of 2,500 at the Broadfield.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it massively helps with that big stadiumitis that we seem to get, because whilst I know some of our, you know, players are international players, they don't always, you know, have got the England 85,000 sold out at Wembley sort of experience.
Yeah.
You know, some of the national games get very similar sort of attendances to some of the WSL games. So the fact that, you know, she is there in a home, because it's not just the Asia Cup, it's being paid in Australia. So, you know, it's a home tournament. There's, you know, lots of all the pressure and stuff that goes with them. With that can only really help to build her into a more robust player. And yes, I'm hoping now that she'll come back and, you know, walk out into the Emirates and go, yeah, whatever, you know. Yeah. You know, Sydney was bigger than this, or, you know, it was busier than this, and so on and so forth. Also, I'm a great believer in going and getting whatever job you do, if you can, going out and getting more experiences. You know, I used to say this when I was in the Army Cadets all the time, is don't spend all your time in one unit, because that's the only way you'll ever learn how to operate. Go out and see different people, different styles of leadership, different ways of playing, if you're putting it into a football sense. And then that can come back and you can take the best bits and put them in your toolkit. And then the rubbish bits, you can go, I don't want to do that. And then, you know, push it away. It's always good to see how other people do things. And yes, she is. I mean, obviously, you know, Brighton are the best of the best in our opinion, but she is there. I mean, if you look at the Australia team, these are the best players in the WSL. A lot of them are in that team. So it's a very good quality team. And that can only benefit a young player, because there's a lot of those players that are at the end of their career and will be starting to sort of move on, and perhaps retire from international duties. And I think she's young, she's up and coming there. It can only really be, for me, I think it will be a really good learning and development opportunity. If she takes it all on board and takes the opportunity to learn from all that, which I'm sure she will, and then she'll come back, hopefully raring to go, you know, potentially as a winner, happy days. But, you know, with all of that experience, to then, you know, pump that back into our team, because that potentially that might be why teams like Arsenal and Chelsea continue to be so good, is because they have a lot of international players that then go away, get the best practice from there and bring it back and develop. And so hopefully that can happen with our players here. Sorry, that was a very long answer to your question.
No, brilliant. Yeah, I couldn't have summed it up any better. I mean, I think the other thing as well is probably, as you pointed out, you know, going out and getting the experience. I know she had already made her debut for Australia, but this would certainly be the first time she's been in a sort of a long camp, or certainly like a tour under sort of tournament conditions. And that can be, you know, it's nice to kind of go in, you know, as a kind of a youngster and get an experience, get your first cap. But this is a more high pressure environment. This is game after game after game. And that feels like she'll benefit more in terms of experience from that than kind of just being brought in the odd one game for 45 minutes, or what, you know, the odd game here and there. It's kind of, this is like proper pressure football, and she's kind of holding her own. So Ben, again, I'm deferring to you. What have you made of Charlie so far in the Asian Cup?
Yeah, great. I mean, I think, as you said, I mean, the 90 minutes against Iran, she was like, that was when I was sort of thinking, oh, could she play number 6? Because she was just really sort of commanding. Basically, she was the central. I think they kind of played 3 at the back, or they really needed 1 at the back most of the time. But so she was kind of playing that sort of Lewis Dunk sort of role kind of thing, and really, but then obviously didn't have much pressure on her. So, you know, it's difficult to kind of completely draw the conclusions. But, you know, coming on, I mean, I think 6.4 is a little bit unfair. I mean, Charlie in the comments are saying that 6.5 is normally the normal thing for last-minute subs, so 6.4 is slightly under par. But I couldn't really tell you what it was that she did to not get a 10. So yeah, I mean, and that was a hard game because the North Koreans were very physical, very very, not necessarily dirty physical, but just very fit physical and strong physical.
Well drilled, I would say.
Which often makes me slightly suspicious when you have a totalitarian state. You turn up all strong and muscular and stuff. A little bit sort of East Germany. Sorry, no offence, North Korea. I'm sure there's nothing going on at all. But yeah, I mean, they had to take. I mean, they had about 4 shots, I think, and they had 2 shots and scored 2 of them, and I think they maybe got a couple later on. But yeah, I think again, so as Claire was saying, it's another thing I was talking to Dario about with Charlie, because it's sort of Steph Catley, took a ball to the face, so she was out with the concussion thing, so maybe there's a chance for Charlie. And Dario was like, listen, I mean, Charlie is, she's a great player, but she had 18 months out of the game, so she's still kind of, as good as she is, we've still got to be patient, and the best of Charlie is still to come, which is quite frightening in a way because she's already really good. So yeah, and as the guy said, I mean, it's a great squad of great players. They've had a little bit of a sort of, I don't know, really strange sort of consistency problem, I think, within the squad. They've not performed their best, but then I mean that's what England do in group stages, isn't it? So it's you grind the results out. They've ended up with a harder route to the final than they might have done because they were only second in the group. But then if they'd won the group, they'd probably be playing. They might well be playing Japan in the semi, won't they? Or would they?
I'm not sure of the brackets, to be honest with you.
Yes, they would have done because South Korea were one, right. So it would have been a Japan-Australia semi. So we're quite pleased that it's gone this way. So yeah, they just look across there. They've got Sam Kerr and Ellie Carpenter, which is rather good because that means Sam Kerr and Ellie Carpenter won't be there on Wednesday night.
Yes, that's very nice.
Although Sam's not really returned to her pre-ACL form yet, but she's still quite good. And just across the board, it's quite bizarre that Alana Kennedy is the joint sort of golden boot at the moment.
Yeah, she's having a bit of a renaissance, isn't she?
It's kind of quite strange. She sort of keeps plopping up and welling it in. Some of the goals have been really good as well. So yeah, I think it they are getting better, and it was a tough match against North Korea, whereas obviously Japan had the Philippines, South Korea had Uzbekistan, so they've had much easier routes to the semis than Australia have. So we shall see.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously,
I do like the way, by the way, the some of the games have been played at Perth Rectangular Stadium. Which is really cool because there were 3 stadiums in Perth. There's the Wacker, and there's the Perth Stadium. I can't remember what they call it. And obviously they're both round, or sort of they're cricket pitch / Aussie rules pitches,
which is not good for the sitting in the stands, is it? Because like some places you're miles away from the actual pitch. Yeah,
the Australia-China semi will be played at the Perth Stadium, which means the crowd at the side is going to be sort of rounded. So yeah, because obviously most stadiums in Australia are built for cricket and footy, and then somebody says, "Can we put a rectangular pitch on there?" If you want, so
only if we can call it the rectangular
pitch.
And if we can call it the Perth rectangular pitch.
Yeah.
Yes. So good luck, obviously, to those 3 out there in the Asian Cup, and obviously we can discuss that a little bit more next week. I don't think will the final have been played by then. Maybe
the final is on the 21st.
It'll be at the weekend, won't it?
Yeah, I would have thought so. It normally is.
It's Saturday.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, we'll be able to.
Semi-finals are tomorrow and Wednesday, and then it'll be a Saturday final and
So we'll know if we've got 1 or 2 champions.
We'll be able to get the party poppers out and going. Good luck to those three. Moving on, this should be a fairly short one. Obviously, Chia Nnadozie went out to the Nigerian camp, intending to play at the African Cup of Nations. I couldn't actually find like a record of it. I think they did play 2 friendlies, of which I think Chia played in the second. I'm not quite sure of the result because I couldn't find it. I think it's probably on Twitter somewhere, but it's a bit buried. But yeah, sort of tune-up games for the African Cup of Nations. So, but then lo and behold,
they played Cameroon twice. They
Cameroon
lost one
twice.
and then won 3-1.
Yeah, that's it. Well, there we go. The Women's African Cup of Nations essentially got cancelled with, I think, maybe 2 or 3 weeks notice. Essentially, I must admit, I had read a tweet a day or two before saying that tickets hadn't gone on sale for it. And when you think tickets are not on sale for like a major,
it's 2 days away,
yeah, exactly. You know,
I don't think they hadn't even sort of sourced out the schedule or anything like that.
No, it sounds like an absolute shambles. So, you know, our thoughts go out to all the players and stuff who have essentially been mucked around for, you know, flights and costs and stuff, some of which, you know, I expect the players have to contribute to for some of these countries. So that's not good. It does mean, though, we have Chia back, and Dario has said that she is obviously in contention for the Chelsea game. I should suspect she'll just go straight back into the team.
Let's hope so. I think that's a good move.
I think so. Yeah, I don't see why she wouldn't. I think she's been training this week, so no.
I think when your defence is already disrupted as it is, the last thing you do is change your goalkeeper as well. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. And also, Charlie pointed out on the comments that Comfort Erbor made her debut for Nigeria in the first of those 2 games against Cameroon. So obviously, ex Brighton player down the road at Portsmouth. Although she doesn't get many games for Portsmouth, I would have her back in a heartbeat. If we end up losing Baggers and possibly Molina, you know, who better to learn from than your country mate, however you say it, country woman, you know, who you're basically going to understudy for the national team. Yeah. You know, and actually, you know, I hope no one would take any offense to me saying this, but they are kind of built the same. You know, they're both sort of you know, quite physical goalkeepers, but like with a good leap on them, good wingspan, you know, arm length and everything. So, you know, like I say, if it ends up Baggers and Molina going, obviously, you know, Hannah may end up staying. I think that would be good. But yeah, I'd take Comfort back in a heartbeat. So
she had I think, did she play for Portsmouth? She played for Portsmouth.
She did. Yeah.
She had a great game against us in the cup.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see she was making a point. She had that to the game, like, you know. Yeah, fair dues, you know.
So yeah, sad for Chia, sad for obviously all the African nations who were scheduled to play. That will be taking place, I think, in June or July now. Yeah. So assuming that, you know, they don't get to June or July and then decide again, no, we've got to put it back. So I think
selfishly, I'm quite happy because obviously means we're not losing our best goalkeeper for the rest of the season now. So you know,
now
she still gets to play it.
It's okay. Yeah.
She still gets to play her competition, but we get to keep her now. So yeah, that's a bonus for us.
Exactly. Very true. Very true. So carrying on a sort of downward trajectory from the success of Moeka and Charlie and Kiko, we come to the She Believes Cup. Where we had Manu Venegas and also brackets Jordan Karabali, obviously no longer with us, but she was playing as well. She played in at least 2 of the games, I think. But Manu played every single game. So 1st of March, they played Canada and lost 4-1. She had a 6.6 in that. 4th of March, they played Argentina 1-1-0. Again, Manu played the full game. Only 6.7, though, which when you get a clean sheet is a little bit strange, but you know, there can be reasons for these things. You know, there can be styles of play and things like that, or position and things like that. If I think one of the games she was played out wide a bit more, and that might contribute to slightly more, like, you know, missed passes and things like that. So there's things and reasons, but they kept a clean sheet. She was in defence, so Fandabi Dozy. And then on the 7th of March, they lost 1-0 to the USA. Again, Manu played the whole match and she got another 6.6. So they didn't qualify for, I guess, was there like a next round or was it a group thing?
It's kind of the Arnold Clark Cup, really.
Right. So it was who had the best results kind of out of the...
Yeah, I have to admit I wasn't really paying much attention to that.
No, me either. I'm sure Charlie in the comments will confirm.
It's quite disappointing in that Olivia Smith of Arsenal and Canada got, was it some sort of concussion-y thing or something? Got a bit of a knock anyway, playing for Arsenal before it, and had to withdraw from the squad. So because I thought, this might be a good chance for Manu to sort of get some sort of strategy against her.
Ready for the FA Cup.
Ready for the FA Cup, but unfortunately it was not to be.
No, so a bit of a sort of disappointing set of results for Colombia there, I think. I mean, they're playing. They're all. I mean, Canada and USA are pretty darn good. They're probably USA are probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the world. Canada probably top 5, maybe top 6 at a push. And they did win the game against the team that they would have been expected to beat, which would have obviously been Argentina, who are kind of a bit of a sleeping giant in women's football. I mean, they should by rights be better than they are, but they don't really have like the kind of global spread that some of the other South American teams have yet. So, not a bad result altogether. I think she did okay. Dario had his press conference today. What he did say is she played every game. She played on the 1st, 4th, and 7th. So basically, she was knackered when she got back. So I think there were 1 or 2 players who, I think probably her in particular, who needed a rest when they came back. So I think they were given a little bit more time to kind of go and recuperate. Most of I'm pretty sure all the rest we've got to talk about were playing in Europe, and they only had a maximum of like 2 games, so it's not quite as intense. And obviously they didn't have to travel. I think, was it in Canada, Ben? I think it was over there somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was North America somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
So quite a long way to travel, and then three pretty tough games. So I think well earned rest for Manu there. On to our European section, and we can have a chat about a few of these. I'm going to group these 2 together because they did actually play 1 game against each other. So we've got Netherlands up first. 3rd of March, they played against Poland, drew 2-2. But Marissa didn't play. So again, we're seeing a common thread.
It's a very big
pattern.
problem, isn't there?
When our players don't play,
you don't win.
They don't win. No. But then, as I said, we had a sort of clash of 2 Brighton players again. I was going to say someone had to lose. It could have been a draw. That would have been nice. But yes, Marissa's Netherlands beat Ireland 2-1. Marissa played the full match. So, really good opportunity for Marissa to get 90 minutes under her belt at international level. So, obviously, Republic of Ireland, we know, they're probably not one of the sort of top teams in the world, but they've got enough about them where they're going to give you a serious challenge. And I think you can see that from the sort of scoreline. So I'll talk about Republic of Ireland just briefly, and then we'll have a little chat about those 2. So Republic of Ireland on the 3rd, they played France and they lost 2-1. Caitlin played the full match. No player ratings on that, but I'm pretty sure Ireland, didn't they go 1-0 up in that game? So that was, I think we can all appreciate the fact that you go 1-0 up against a team as good as France, you're going to be trying to sort of, keep a hold of that lead. And unfortunately, they just couldn't last out the whole game. No disrespect for a 2-1 loss to a team as good as France. And then, as I say, on the 7th, Caitlin played the whole game. Again, no match rating, but played the whole game against Netherlands in the 2-1 loss. So it was Caitlin who took the L. I'd like to think they had some sort of friendly bet beforehand, maybe like a karaoke
I don't
song.
know. You see, if you seen Caitlin at the end of the West Ham game, she was like, "It's war."
Yeah, exactly.
She
That's
was
what I
like,
mean.
"I'm not a Brighton player anymore. I'm Ireland."
You've got to put something friendly on the line. You know, maybe
Yeah.
Caitlin has to buy Marissa's lunch for the
Maybe,
week or something, or yeah. So
clean her boots all week.
absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, that would be quite a good one because they've got a boot cleaner, so it wouldn't be too labour intensive.
Too stressy, would it? Yeah.
So yeah, let's have a little chat about them too, because obviously, you know, they are back, they are in the squad. Obviously, Marissa is kind of invaluable for us. You know, she is that kind of player on the left for us, left back, whether left wing back sort of thing. So I'll start with Ben on this one. We haven't started with Ben, so I'll start with Ben on this one. Marissa, obviously integral to us, but also a few words on the importance of Caitlin, given the fact that we have got these players away at the Asian Cup.
Yeah, I mean, she's the Wicklow Mountain, isn't she? I can't think of any specific mountains in Ireland. I need to do some revision on that, but yeah, she's going to be important. I think, you know, she's important for Ireland. I think the fact that they, you know, took, you know, both games pretty close. You know, there are two quite late goals from Mallard for France, and then Berenstein got a couple either side of a Katie McCabe penalty. But, you know, those are two of the big clubs and nations. So to sort of, you know, to only lose 2-1 to them, you know, it's not great losing, but those are very respectable results, I think. And some very, very quality sort of attackers coming at her. Again, she might have sort of got her eye in on Vivian Miedemar for sort of filed that away for later reference and stuff. And you know, and so they, you know, I didn't get to see much of the games because I don't think they were live on. You know, I think they were live on Irish TV and probably Dutch TV, but didn't see the. But I've seen that. Yeah, she's there doing what she does, getting in the way, getting ahead to everything and stuff. So, you know, again, well, actually, that's one thing. They would, you know, any corner that came in from either team, she was getting it away. I think actually there was a couple of. Remember, there were a couple of times she almost scored sort of quite early on against the Netherlands. I think it was. With a header, sort of looping header, it took a really good save to keep it out. So yeah, I think, you know, she's not had much football this year because been sort of shunted out of the team a bit by Manu, I suppose, isn't she? But yeah, I mean, it's good to see she hasn't forgotten what to do. And yeah, I think Mo, you know, again, I think in a world of sort of right-footed players, Mo is a sort of shining light on the left. And I think she coming back to the Netherlands team a little bit late. I think she sort of was a bit of a fringy sort of player, and now is much more regular. So again, it's really good to see her getting a chance again. So
getting the full 90 minutes
games, really.
is very important, isn't it? Because I think it's very difficult, isn't it? If you're only getting the last 10 minutes of a game, particularly if you're a defender, you know, midfielder to a slightly lesser extent, but with a defender, if you're only coming on for like the last 10 minutes, it's very hard to kind of show exactly what you can do unless your team's like right under the cosh or whatever. But even then, it's kind of, you know, you can't really rely on the statistics and stuff because there's a lot of just clearing the ball away and, you know, trying to sort of wind the clock down a bit and stuff like that. So, you know, to see Marissa getting like full 90 minutes against, you know, it wasn't like they were playing. We'll come on to Scotland later, who played Luxembourg twice, but it wasn't like the Netherlands were playing. They were playing Ireland, and Ireland are a good team. And Arjen, you know, formerly Serena's assistant at England, saw fit to play Marissa for the entire 90. So I think that's, you know, a big credit to her. And again, long may that continue. So there we go. I'm rattling through these, so I'm going to go a couple more, and then I'll come to Claire and Abby on each. I'll just go to one of you per, so that we're not too long. So moving slightly on to Sweden, they played on the 3rd of March. They beat Italy 1-0. Rosa did not play in that match. so we can disregard it.
Well, it was only 1-0.
Yeah, I know. And then on the 7th, now here we go. This is another
derby.
clash. Another clash. 7th of March versus Serbia. 0-0. Rosa came on in the 75th minute. So I haven't got a match rating. Charlie May in the comments have found one. But obviously Jenny came on for like the last 15 minutes of regulation time. So she did get a run out against Serbia, but I think probably more credit to Serbia for keeping that as a 0-0. But
that's a big point.
Yeah, it wasn't. Neither of the games were goal fests, let's say. Maybe that's because Rosa wasn't playing. You never know. Yeah, I'll. Well, let's go on to Serbia, and then we'll chat. So 3rd of March, Serbia played Denmark. They lost 3-1. Yele played the full match. Again, don't have a match rating on that, but I'm sure Yele was Yele. And then obviously she plays in the game against Sweden. Again, played the full match. I think Serbia have got some good players, but when you've got Chankovic, you don't take her off unless she's injured, I don't think. To a certain extent, the same as Brighton, really.
Yeah.
Claire, what do you kind of make of? So Rosa she seems quite a fringe player for the Sweden team. Would you say that kind of makes sense based on what she's been doing for the Albion? And then obviously, speak a little bit about Yele and her sort of importance to us, as much as to Serbia.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rosa is very similar to Charlie in that sense of coming back from an injury, trying to get minutes in a team. She's not looking hugely confident, but obviously that's something that she's got to work on, and it will grow and come. It will definitely have boosted her confidence to get picked for the Swedish team, because I assume sort of leaving Arsenal and coming to play for us this season, one of the sort of objectives would have been get back in the Sweden squad. So she's done that with her performances at Brighton. She's managed to catch the eye. So hopefully, again, it's another thing of these things might build a little bit of confidence for these players to come back and be like, you can do it on the big stage, so why can't you just bring that with you and do it for your club, But Yele, I mean, she's my player of the season so far. I think without her, we would be down in probably 9th, 10th place with everybody else. I think she's held it together. She's got goals when we've needed them. She's the experienced head on the pitch when we haven't had it. And we really notice when she's not playing. And I am absolutely loving all of her little TikToky videos where she does behind the scenes, showing you what it's like to be a footballer. It's just really interesting to sort of see what that day-to-day basis is, and how things work, and how she is who she is, if you know what I mean. Like, see that the focus is everything from what she has at breakfast all the way down to every single part of her day is organised and focused on, and mindset. And then you see her go on the pitch and you're like, I can see how that transpires from one to the other, because that's just who she is. But yeah, I mean, great result for Serbia to get a point off of Sweden. And, like you say, they're not going to not play her. So hopefully she comes back all fresh and fit and raring to go and does Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of revenge on our old team.
We like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, I'm not a frequenter of TikTok as much, but they did post, I think, on the other social media channels, her sort of day in the life of type thing, which I thought was really good, because I have seen them in the past, a few from Brighton, but from other teams as well, where it's supposed to be a day from the life, and it's like about 40 seconds long. And it's just like them walking into a series of rooms and then maybe on.
I think I think these are actually Yelena's videos there.
Yes,
exactly. Up on her social media, and Brighton have shared them, I think, kind of thing. But she's clearly building her brand on social media and things as well. And there's lots of stuff from her. It's definitely worth a follow if you're not following on Insta.
Absolutely, and I think, like you say, what comes across is a real dedication to the game. You know, even when she's gone home and had her sort of, you know, she said her meal was lovely. I mean, it didn't have enough chips or burgers or pizza.
She eats about 15 meals a day. Honestly, I've never seen so many plates of food. But you know, she's running around like a lunatic all the time, so she's burning those calories off. She needs them.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, even after she'd had her dinner, she was still doing a few more things on the floor with, you know,
more stretches,
stretching, and you know all that sort of thing. So, no, I thought that was really good. And also, I'm jumping ahead to a little bit because of we were going to talk about the International Women's Day thing later on. But how did we not know that she started in the game because she was some sort of Serbian young football? What do they call them? Not juggler, because that's
like keepy uppy,
like a skiller, like a skiller. When she was a kid, and she was sort of famous. How do we not know this is the sort of thing? This is Melina not knowing where Melina's from. You know, here's another thing where it's like, how did we not know that was a thing, that she was some sort of celebrity in like Serbia to a certain extent? You know, already when she was a kid, and then you know, it sounds like we couldn't hear all of it because the audio was a little bit.
The microphones were very very
but it sounds.
Well, she doesn't talk loud anyway.
No, that's a heart. But it's sort of from what I could gather, she essentially at some point said to her dad, who I think was sort of, you know, helping her do all this sort of stuff because she was so young, you know, I don't want to do the juggling anymore. I want to be an actual proper football player. And she's made it. I mean, so, you know, everyone's got their own story and everything, but you know, it's all the more interesting when it's a little bit more unconventional. So I'd love to.
I remember the Albion last season. The Albion posted a video of the sort of, you know, just sort of pre-game sort of warm-up-y kickabout.
Yeah,
and I think there's twos, and they all pass the ball to each other, something like that. And there's just her just juggling it, and Gura standing there, hands on hips, going, "We're supposed to be warming up together." She's like,
I almost want to see her like do something now. Like I want to see, exactly like you say. I've seen her juggling the ball.
I'm sure there was a clip. I'm sure it was her of like you say, they were just warming up, and she's just sort of walking across the field, knocking the ball up and down.
Not quite doing the Hasegawa thing.
Not quite the Hasegawa. But maybe that's the challenge we need to put to her. We make that the Chankity Chank challenge.
Chankity Chank.
We've got to get some keepy ups into the game at some point.
Absolutely. There we go. So good result. Rosa got on. Yellow played two games, so again I think she probably would have got a little bit of rest. You know, she's had a few niggling injuries, so you know, she probably would have been on that sort of veteran, you know, give a little bit of time to recover and then straight back into it. And obviously that's probably where having the extra few days because of the League Cup final might have actually benefited us. Normally speaking, you would want less time in between when you last played. But I think if you've already had 2 weeks and you've got players who were playing 90 minutes in both games across those 2 weeks, you know, you actually probably wouldn't mind a little bit of a break, especially as there's travelling involved. So Abby has drawn the short straw. You've got Scotland. So Rachel, I don't say that because it is Scotland. I say it more for the fact of I don't know what you can tell from a 5-0 and a 7-0 victory over Luxembourg.
It was lots of goals.
Well,
presumably the female population of Luxembourg is less than you get at the Broadfield for a regular WSL game. I'll give you the information anyway. So 3rd of March, they played Luxembourg, as I say, 5-0. They won 5-0, obviously. I should clarify. And Rachel played the full match, so good on her. And then the 7th of March, I don't know how it happened, but they also played Luxembourg again. And that time it was 7-0. Rachel started, but she came off after 76 minutes. So, I mean, I think it was job done at that point.
I think, the points were safe by then.
Exactly. So, Abby, I mean, obviously, it's hard to sort of draw too much from 2 games against Luxembourg, but do you think it will have? Rachel hasn't been starting so often. Do you think it would be quite a good sort of confidence boost for her to get a couple of games in the Scotland team? You know, get a couple of relatively comfortable victories and kind of come back and try and parlay that into our team?
Yeah, exactly what I was saying earlier on. She's been part of a different setup with different opposition. I can't think of too many Luxembourg players in the WSL. So,
it's got less than 1 million population. So,
yeah. So, you've got, it's different, different opposition. You've still got, they're still taking it seriously. They're still training and working and, coming together as a squad because, our children haven't been in the school play. Then I think Ben and I have actually sort of like jumped ship northwards and started watching a bit more of the Scottish team. And they really are developing and they are doing very well. And they needed some wins, shall we say. So I don't think it would have done them any harm to have won so comprehensively. And hopefully she can bring that back. And yes, I love Rachel. I think she's a great player. And I would like to see her more in our team. I think it goes to the quality that we've got at her position. I think last season her and Fran particularly seemed to really link up well. And particularly that lovely goal at Spurs. That was, it was one of those moments. It was right in front of us. It was a brilliant goal, and it was purely because Fran, shrieked at her or something, and she just sort of gave her the ball. I think it'll be good. She'll come back, really pushing to get into our squad, and that's what we need. Is we need players pushing to get into the squad, because that's how the squad then develops as a whole.
Absolutely, yeah. And as Charlie pointed out in the comments, Rachel is our only representative in the qualifying groups B, which is, I think, the second sort of tier of qualification. So she's our sole representative there. So we've got no conflicting games or anything to worry about with Scotland. So, but I guess that's why they're playing Luxembourg. And not.
It's funny the way they've got Belgium next month actually, but it's funny the way they're doing it because they're all sort of doing the sort of opposite fixtures. So Luxembourg twice, then they've got Belgium twice, then they've got Israel twice.
Yeah, it's never normally like that, is it? No, very strange. But yes, I mean, really two obviously very good, solid performances by Scotland there. Did what they needed to do against Luxembourg, and obviously they'll try and carry that on into the next international break, which isn't all that far away, I don't think.
No.
A few weeks, and I think we've got another one. So
again, I mean, Rachel's a big sort of Albion success story. I think she was a sort of established international, but not every game international. And I think since she's I suppose she needs to re-establish herself in our team. But basically, since she's been playing for us, she's basically not quite first name on the team sheet, but she's in there pretty much every game, which she wasn't before she came down here. So that's credit to her and credit to us as a club for sort of putting her in the shop window, because I think there's a lot of I don't know. I mean, Scottish women's football, it hasn't got the depth, shall we say, that even the WSL's got. So, if you can prove that you can do it on a bigger stage, which the WSL is, then that proves that that puts you sort of ahead of even a Glasgow City player, I think, really. If you can say, look, I'm doing it at, even a mid-table WSL team. So, fair play to her and well done us.
Absolutely. So the last couple to cover. So I'll go through the first one because I did actually happen to see both these games. So that's good. That's a big tick because I hadn't seen most of the other ones. Just highlights, keeping up appearances as it were. And then Ben's going to take us into some of the younger age groups, or certainly one in particular. So England under-23s. Obviously Maisie was called up to play in two. I don't think they were friendlies. I think there was something on the line.
It's really confusing at that level.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know that that every country has an under-23 team, so it's a little bit it's a little bit strange about how they sort of schedule fixtures and stuff. But one way or another, I don't think anyone was, it was mega important. Let's say that. I don't think there was anything major on the line. Equally, some points go somewhere or whatever. Anywho, so we played France away and beat them 1-0. And Maisie played the full match. Goal from Lexi Lloyd-Smith, who could potentially be another player Brighton might look at maybe in the summer if they're looking to sign potential sort of future Lionesses maybe. Really good finish. And I thought Maisie played well. I wouldn't say she stuck out particularly, but she certainly didn't do anything wrong. And there were one or two lovely passes and stuff that we just associate with Maisie, where she'll just pick someone out from nowhere. And her corners were quite good as well, so maybe we'll see her taking a few more for us. Certainly better than Ruby Mace's. So there we go. Yes, and then so that was the 2nd of March, so they were playing a little bit ahead of the full internationals. And then on the 6th of March, they drew 1-1 with the Netherlands, and Maisie started the game, and I think she was captain. Ben, is that?
Yes.
Does that sound right? And then she came off at half-time for Ruby Mace, who then became the captain. So that felt like a little bit of okay, we won't play them both for 90 minutes, 2 games in a row sort of thing. We'll play one and then the other type thing. But I'm pretty sure Netherlands equalised in the second half. So as far as Maisie's
in the 96th minute,
there you go. So as far as Maisie's concerned, she won that game. But yeah, again, she played pretty well. It was a bit of a scrappy game, which you wouldn't normally associate with sort of England, Netherlands. But Netherlands look quite good. They've got some very good under 23 players. Obviously, Marit, if she was fit, might have featured for them, but alas, not on this occasion. And a good test, for games that are not kind of crucial to qualification for things and not full internationals. You really want to, see the development and stuff like that. So, 2 tough teams, 2 teams who have got, known players and players in top leagues, even within their under 23 ranks. So I thought Maisie, did she sort of stand out particularly? Not really, but equally she didn't put a foot wrong, and sometimes in midfield that's what you need. So Ben, did you want to add anything on Maze there?
As you say, I still think she's being played slightly out of position because I'd like to see her further forward. But yeah, I mean, she did what she did. Did really well. There was I think the first goal, I've completely forgotten who crossed it now, but lovely header from Lena Gunning-Williams of Tottenham, who, funnily enough, got her first Tottenham start of the weekend, sort of possibly off the back of that. I don't know. But then, I think the next time we looked like scoring was when Maisie played the ball with the outside of her foot. It wasn't like a sort of 50-yard cross field job, but it was just like lovely little sort of doink over there. But because it was the outside of her foot, we suddenly got a chance. But yeah, and I think it was weirdly. I mean, again, it's not a competition I know an enormous amount, but it's the European Under-23 League. Okay. And it was the group stage, and so the next game on the 13th of April will be the semi-final.
Right. Okay.
Against Netherlands.
Oh.
So yeah.
The old foe.
I think it's England v Netherlands, so presumably somewhere in the UK, in England even. But I don't know where. But I don't really know what the competition is. It's just a sort of let's try and make it a bit competitive at this level kind of competition, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Claire, I'll put it to you. Do you think sometimes they undersell these under-23 internationals a little bit, because they seem to sort of play them at, I can't think what the ground was, but it was maybe like a League Two ground, or Shrewsbury. There we go. So I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility they could play one at the Broadfield. But do you think that there are some communities, and I'm going to throw Brighton into the hat of that if the under-23s did play at somewhere like the Amex, that we probably would get a very good crowd, do you think?
I don't know, because it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I mean, if I think about the men's game, do a lot of people go and watch the under-21s? I don't know. It's never really on the telly. I never hear anything about the under-21s in the media. But the women's game is on a high at the moment. So you would think that at any opportunity to get people to a game, they would be trying to do it. And I think these under-21 women's games do tend to pick up, 10,000 people. I don't know, So maybe I think maybe the Amex might be a bit big, but something like Ashton Gate again, or a sort of a small WSL2 stadium that's of a nicer end rather than the sort of Poundland mud bath.
They've played there before, actually, haven't they?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They played there before. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, can't they play at Wembley before the big girls go and play? You know what I mean? Like put them on first, and then you watch a double header. I don't know, sort of, or put them on after or whatever. But I think the way women's football is in the news at the moment, it's growing. It's a really good opportunity for getting those sorts of games more airtime and more, and getting the players a little bit more sort of noticed as to who they are, the potential that they might go through. But it's an interesting one, because how often do you see, I saw one yesterday, the men's, I think it was like under 17 or under 18 squad of 10 years ago, where are they now? And there was like 4 of them that were playing in top class football, and one of them was at Burnley, do you know what I mean? And one was at Leeds, and the rest of them are all scattered in sort of non-league and all over the place. So I don't know. I think with the women's game, it's a lot smaller pool of players. So you have got potential to be going to these games and watching somebody who might well make it into the actual big time. Do you know what I mean? So I would give it a chance. I mean, Shrewsbury. Who's going to go all the way to Shrewsbury to watch?
Yeah, I suppose it's reachable from Manchester, because it's on the sort of Cardiff to Manchester line. By train. It's not that far south, I suppose, of that sort of area. It's about 10,000, I think. Meadow Park? I've forgotten now. But it's it's a League Two stadium. They got relegated with Crawley last year. But I suppose it's a fairly modern one, sort of stands wise. So they probably, and I think they like to take it around the country.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking about the Broadfield. Is I wonder whether they wouldn't be interested in the Broadfield because of the 2 terraces.
Yeah, because of the 2 other stands as well.
And also, it's already being played on by 2 teams, isn't it? So they probably want a ground that doesn't get that much football played on it. Like you want to. Yeah. You don't want to turn up, and because I mean, obviously, if we're not playing there, then Crawley are playing there, and Crawley might be. Well, actually, we don't want any extra football here at the week in the midweek. We've got enough.
Yeah. I mean, the France game was played at like the French equivalent of St George's Park.
It was, yeah.
But, I think there were some fans there. You could hear. There's always one, and there was a guy.
I know which fan you're talking about.
I thought it was a chainsaw, but I think actually it was a strimmer. You could hear in the background as well, because that's like the French national sport is strimming. But I suppose if there's not really much interest, then you might as well play at a place, But I actually haven't seen the crowd figures for what it seemed. Yeah, there seemed to be people there, but I don't think it was sold out. But it was,
Yeah, I suppose I'm just speculating out loud as to whether there are areas of the country where the under-23s might get more support than others. I think maybe I feel like maybe they played in like maybe like in the West Country, maybe like I know they've played at Bristol before. I think they played in the East Country, like maybe at Carrow Road or somewhere like that. So perhaps areas where they're not as they're not going to get like full England internationals there, 9 times out of 10. So maybe that would be the sort of place to do it. I think the trouble is, I suppose, with Brighton, and we did get another friendly after we obviously hosted those 2 games in the Euros. Bit of a drab affair against the Czech Republic. 0-0 draw.
That's my consolation game, because I had to miss the Spain game because I had COVID.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think the trouble is, as is often the case with Brighton, is people go, or the people who look at these things, a bit like with concerts and stuff as well. Oh well, yeah, Brighton. Yeah, well, it's not a big city, and it's also quite close to London. So if we put it in London, people from Brighton will probably come. So that means we very rarely get any of the kind of big things down here. So I guess I'm just trying to, sort of send the word out that we're willing to have some games and stuff down here, like for England and things like that. So and we did obviously host a game, 2 games, I think, in the Women's Rugby World Cup as well. So we have down here some prestigious events and stuff. So I wouldn't mind going to see an under-23, but I do take your point. I perhaps the Amex is too big and the Broadfield's unsuitable. So it would be I guess where else in the south, maybe like
or maybe Fratton Park or something like that. Or
Fratton Park, yeah.
Southampton's ground.
I was going to say, what's Southampton's ground called now? It's not the Dell, is it?
St Mary's.
St Mary's, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a nice ground, But the problem with Southampton's ground is it's absolutely awful for getting to.
Yeah. Actually, didn't the fair game at the St Mary's?
I think we did.
A friendly, wasn't it, against Ghana or someone?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I suppose they might say, well, if you live in Brighton, it's only along the coast, so which it is. So fair dues. So Ben's going to take us into the underage groups, and I think in particular the under 17s.
Yeah. Again, I think once you get any younger than that, the FA don't really talk about it very much.
No.
For obvious reasons, basically it's school kids and whatever's. But we did, the usual one. Actually, disappointingly, there have been some under 20 games, and I don't know why Jess Pegram wasn't in the squad. But she did miss a couple of games. She was on the bench, I think, but she did miss a couple of games for Rangers. I thought it was just because they were like easy ones, and she played again at the weekend. But she wasn't in the under 20 squad, which is disappointing. But yeah, the under 17 squad has featured Emily Gay, our sort of number 64, officially in the part of the squad to keep up the homegrown thing, even though she's probably the youngest eligible member. But yeah, they've been playing out in where they've been playing in Spain again, in the sort of Pinatar place, which is in sort of Murcia, sort of down in sort of southeast Spain. And she captained the team. Oh, hang on, what am I talking about? I'm looking at the wrong place. They weren't playing. They're playing in Croatia. That was it. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong game. They've been playing in Croatia, and this is qualification for the under 17s, the under 17s Euros, basically, which will be in Northern Ireland in the summer. So I've got myself all confused there. And basically, they played Croatia on the. They played Turkey on the 13th, and she played 90 minutes and captained the side. And they won 2-1. And then on the 16th, which was today as recording, they played Croatia. She didn't play, which is why they only won 1-0. But I think it's one of those things. You don't get dropped if you just captain the team to a victory. I think with that sort of age group, they tend to rotate the players a lot more because it's, I think at sort of academy level, I think Danny Bowman said this about the Albion Academy, hasn't she? That it's more important to get a performance and get some experience and whatever than it is to get a win. But they've got to win anyway. And then they've got Italy on the 19th, and it's a sort of obviously the group of 4: England, Croatia, Italy, Turkey. We're currently top of the group with 2 wins, and Croatia and Italy have both won 1 each. But only the group winner will go through to the finals, whatever, in Northern Ireland in the summer. So hopefully they can put in a performance. They need a point against Italy, but obviously it'd be nice to get 3. But the other news from the under 17s was that as well as Emily Gay, there was a call up just as a training player, but a call up regardless for Billy. I've completely forgotten her surname.
Price.
Billy Price. Sorry, yes, your daughter. Yeah.
No, she's another relation.
No relation.
Not to anyone as good as James Milner, though, obviously.
Sorry, yes. Sorry, Billy. Completely threw out my ear there. Yeah, there's two sisters in the academy. Winnie is the elder and Billy is the younger. I think she might even still be 15. She's certainly only just this season started playing with the under-16s team, England team, that is. And she's got a call-up, literally as a training player. So, sort of, I don't know if she would qualify as a reserve if they suddenly had an injury in the goalkeeping department, because she obviously need two, and there's only two others. But this, that's a really big deal, I think, to get a call-up to an age group that's potentially 2 years above you. So, so we'll play Billy, and hopefully, obviously she's getting some great experience with the under-16s, and I think she played for under-15s before that, blah, blah, blah. But again, the information is not really necessarily readily available. But yeah, I mean, that's exciting. She does look like, from what I've seen, just little clips on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, she's quite the keeper, I think. And again, I don't know exactly where she's from, but I think she's a Sussex girl because she came through the foundation, like Eva Milner did, and obviously like her big sister did and stuff. So that would be an enormous success story for the Albion again if she can get up there. Yeah. So Charlie saying in the comments, Brighton's got the captain for both the England under-17 and under-23 teams. So somebody's doing something right down at Lancing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to bring in Abby and just say, how important is it, and how much of an improvement is it to sort of see players. We've all been fans for the last few years, but even though we haven't been fans, necessarily for a lot longer, we could still see that there weren't players from the academy in our first team. How much positivity can we take with the fact that we're now regularly having our players called up to international level and stuff, and they seem, when they're called up, they seem to be impressing.
It's really good. It does show that we've got people being trained, moving forward. It also very reassuring that somebody in the England setup knows where Brighton is.
Somebody does.
Yeah. On the little map that they've got up at St George's Park, somebody needs to just go and put a big red arrow, Serena, this is where Brighton is. Wow. So, from that respect, it's good that our players are there and that they're being developed. It says an awful lot about what we're doing with our younger players and developing them. And it can only be good for the future. I keep forgetting quite how young Emily Gay is, considering that she's in the first team squad. But I think that's more to do with the fact that she's fulfilling a spot. But if you look at the quality we've got coming through, not just being named in the England squad, but that we've got out on loan, Jess Pegram, like Ben was saying. Olivia Johnson as well. We've got some really good talents coming up. Tahira Heron, who potentially, if she hadn't had that injury, might have been good for an England shout at a level. It's fantastic, and it just keeps needing to build, particularly if that's going to be the Brighton model, is that we find these players. And then we develop them, and then we sell them on. Well, we need to build them. Again, in order to get one international player, you probably need to have 3 or 4 squad players, which means you need to have 10 or 15 academy and so on. So it's all a pyramid, sort of poking up. And as somebody in the comment has said, Eliana Martin as well. Absolutely, she's been very impressive every time she's come on. Very, very positive for the future. Hopefully we can develop them and keep them, which I think is a big one, so that we're not in this sort of, homegrown snafu, in the next few years, that we've got, really good quality talent in our squad that we have developed and that we know.
Yeah, and I think part of that is obviously that, you know, they're talking about, I don't know whether they have implemented it already or it's next season, or I suspect it's probably coming down the line, these sort of interim contracts for sort of 16 to 18-year-olds. So essentially, you know, another club can't just sort of like circle around them like a hawk and go, oh, you're 16 now, or, you know, oh, you're 18 now. Right. Okay. Say goodbye to your club. You're off to Chelsea or Arsenal. And I think that's where also we've talked a lot about having a good first team is what you want, because you want players to aspire to play in that first team. Whereas, you know, if you're sort of perennial relegation contenders or constantly mid-table, then actually what a lot of the academy kids are kind of probably thinking, well, yeah, I'm at Brighton, I'll prove my worth at Brighton, and then I'll go to one of the big boys, you know, sort of thing. So, you know, we want players to aspire to get into our team, not to aspire to get good enough to then go to someone else. So, you know, and I think that is you're starting to see that, because we're starting to do well in underage leagues, we're doing well in underage cups, all that sort of thing. And although, you know, as Ben rightfully pointed out, a lot of it at, you know, the younger age groups is more about getting them ready for the first team than actual results. It certainly doesn't hurt to be part of a successful winning team, you know. So you know, long may that continue.
Funny enough, I was going to say, it's nice that you managed to get Abby to talk about Brighton Academy girls, because several of our former Brighton Academy girls put several goals past Eastbourne Borough on Sunday. So, yes. I mean, again, it's you know, the thing. I mean, you know, Chelsea Ferguson, Leah Lane, Kayla Ginger. There's quite a few down there at Lewis, and again, it's that sort of thing. They're not playing for Man United, but they're still, you know, they went through our academy and they are playing a good level. You know, they're playing football. So, you know, they have, you know, not everybody can be the next Leslie Russo. Not, you know, some people just get to be footballers, which is great. And I think, again, it's one of those things where you take a step down to take a step up, because Olivia Carpenter left our academy this year and went to Lewis, along with loads of others, and she's just been, obviously there's no transfer window, there's no transfer rules. You know, you can basically sign who you like when you like in the National League. She's just gone to Watford, which again is a sort of sideways step because it's another National League side, but Watford might well be getting promoted at the end of the season. So Liv Carpenter, having not quite made it at Brighton, took a step down to Lewis and now is coming up with Watford. So yeah, it's all, you know, it's all good.
Also, the Lewis manager is ex-Brighton as well.
Well, yes, absolutely.
So that there is very much that you know, pathway almost between the two. And despite the fact that they did put, you know, 8 goals past the team that I went to support, they played very well and they were very, very good goals. And it was a very nice experience, other than the scoreline. Yeah, I would definitely visit again if they were playing somebody else.
So there we go. Yes. So just before we go on to previewing the upcoming games, as we're talking about the academy, the latest update around the PGA Cup final, which is going to be held towards the end of April up in Loughborough, is that there will be some communication coming out from the club sort of officially as to how you can attend. I think the inference at the moment is that it's essentially will be available for anyone to attend, as in, I don't think it will be a chargeable event, let's say that. Obviously, you've got to get up there, which is a chargeable event. But obviously, the fact that you don't have to pay anything when you get up there, hopefully, will ease the costs sort of somewhat. So hopefully that will encourage even more people to go. So basically what I've been told is there will be some information coming out from the right places in due course, hopefully soon, because it's not all that far away. But yeah, all signs point to it being sort of free of charge and and open for us to attend. So the more people we can get up to go and support the girls as they take on Birmingham in Loughborough, then hopefully we get a good crowd there, support the girls. And one of the things that I always speak about with Dario when it comes to the young players, and I've spoken to Danny Bowman about it as well, is getting them used to environments that they will then find themselves in when they step up to the full team. So, you know, even if there's sort of, you know, 30, 40, 50 of us, because I expect a lot of the parents will go, you know, if we can make noise and support them and stuff, then it's all helpful for when they make that as an eventual transition, hopefully to the full team, and you know, they'll get that on a more regular basis. So yeah, as I say, more news when we have it, but hopefully, you know, something official will be announced soon by the club. So
quickly, sorry, just
yeah, of course, yeah,
a quick lonely thing, because since we're talking about the academy kids, because it's been relatively quiet. You know, again, Liv Johnson's not really getting the minutes at Forest, and Libby, I still don't know what's up with Libby, because she's not appeared in the squad even for Birmingham recently. So hopefully there's nothing serious going on. Again, there's nothing mentioned. She doesn't do the socials very much, apart from just reposting Birmingham stuff. So I don't know, but we have had something. Well, actually, no. Just quickly jump north of the border to Jess Pegram, who I said she was out for a couple of games, and I don't know why, but she was in the squads. But she did play most of the game on Sunday. But it's they're into the sort of championship bit of the Scottish WPL, and they Rangers were beaten 3-2 away at Hearts, which, I mean, it's a competitive game, but it's one they probably ought to have won. So I think they're a bit disappointed with that. But again, just played brilliantly. I'm not sure why she went off. There might have been some sort of knock, and she might be on managed minutes. I don't know, which might be why she wasn't in the England under-20 squad. Whizzing across to Scandinavia very quickly, Hammarby have been playing in that in the thingy Swedish Cup. And they won. Hang on, I've completely forgotten now. They won their second game the other day, so I've completely lost on this now. But they drew. I've completely forgotten. I'll come back to Melina, because the exciting news has been that obviously Evie Milner has gone off on loan to Pompey. And she's been playing for Pompey. She had a couple of substitution appearances, but on Wednesday, because of, I can't remember why they moved the game, but they played away at Charlton, and obviously Pompey struggling at the bottom of the table, Charlton romping away at the top. You think, well, bosh, easy 3 points for Charlton. But Evie Milner had other ideas. And the identity of the scorer has changed several times, but Pompey and Evie are giving it to Evie. Basically, 4 minutes into her sort of professional first start in professional football, there was a sort of goalmouth melee. And if it was her that scored, it was pretty much a back heel as well. So I'm certainly giving it to her. And then they scored again after 9 minutes, and basically Portsmouth beat Charlton away, which is like, whoa,
yeah,
crazy. And then on Sunday they hosted Bristol City, which again you'd think would be a fairly straightforward affair for Bristol City, but they drew 2-2, which is a bit disappointing, I think, because it was a late penalty equaliser for Bristol City. So I think, and certainly after they got their second goal, it really looked like Portsmouth might get a third, but yeah, it wasn't to be. But I think 4 points in the last 2 games against 2 of the top teams. I think Portsmouth might have turned their season around with a bit of luck. I mean, I'm sort of should we be supporting Portsmouth? They're a sort of rival South Coast team, but at the same time, it's a nice club. Obviously, getting quite ambitious. But it's also a club that we can lend players to, and they actually play them.
Yeah.
Because we've lent players to Bristol City this season, and they've got no minutes. Obviously, there's OJ's gone from Bristol City to Forest, and she's still not getting played. Evie's gone to Portsmouth, and she's in there straight away. So if they stay up, then that might be a sort of nice regular thing to farm our players out to. Yeah. Charlie, actually, yes, Charlie in the comments pointing out that it was a depleted Bristol City side. They had to borrow players from their academy. Players like England's Katie Robinson, who played for their academy against our academy, and their academy beat our academy, which was a bit naughty of them. But yeah, I think, there's 4 teams on 14 points at the bottom of the WSL2 at the moment. So it's, Portsmouth are still bottom because they've got a fairly terrible goal difference. And then Ipswich and Sheffield United and Durham. They've all played. Portsmouth have played more games than all the others, but Durham are the ones that I think look like they might be in trouble because they seem to be a bit in free fall. Whereas, if those 2 games were to go by, Pompey might be staying up. With a bit of luck. Sorry. Back to Molina. Just completely lost it for a minute there. They drew with Vacchio 2-2, which again I think it was a sort of funny old game. I think she played pretty well. I did see a couple of good saves made in their highlights video. They beat Vizio. Lovely pronunciation there.
I assume that's right.
Yeah, so they're top of their group anyway, and so they're advancing to the semi-finals of the Swedish Cup, but I don't think it's been drawn yet. So onwards and upwards. She's conceded a couple of goals, but they've been winning, so she's doing well for herself.
Absolutely. And we've had a request, so I'm a man after our fans' own heart. So here we go.
Ben on the ball, Ben on the mic, talking women's football every day, every night, from the first big tackle to the last late goal. Ben's got the game, Ben's got the soul.
There we go.
Still just love
that was just for Charlie. I'm working on. If I wasn't working on so many other things, I'd be working on ones for Claire and Abby. So, we will all have songs by the end of the season. I guarantee it. Yes. So we'll move on to our previews. We will try not to take up too much of your time. We'll whiz through them, I'm sure. Obviously, with Chelsea, we did talk a little bit about already. Obviously, they won the League Cup on Sunday. Hooray for them! Another trophy. They'll have to add another few cabinets on for their sort of, although they won't be able to win it next year.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Yeah. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, though, isn't it? Because I still think it devalues the competition by not having 4 good teams into it.
They should have just been made to play properly and play from the start. That's all.
Exactly. They should have done something else to facilitate them to put out some sort of team, and then that way at least they could have taken it seriously had they qualified or whatever. But yes, more on the issues with the Subway Cup later, I'm sure. Yes. So I mean, Dario was asked a question on his pre-match press conference. Is it a good time to play them, a bad time to play them? He basically said, well, it doesn't really matter because we've got to play them either way.
Yeah.
Which is classic Dario. He also got asked the age-old question about where he wants to finish, and guess what? He told him don't matter until the last day of the season. So he sticks to his guns, and I like that. So I mean, maybe they'll have a few players rested from the weekend, but I mean, it wasn't like they played extra time or anything. So, they may just do a bit of rotation. But having said that, their bench was pretty good. Maybe they
did have quite a party in their dressing room after the game, though. So
we'll see. We'll see how that affects them. Yeah, I mean, I know they had a couple of. I think Lexi Potter and is it Chloe Sarwi?
Yes.
Yeah. They were on the bench, so I mean, maybe they get given an opportunity to start, given that they were on the bench, and maybe this is a good time to kind of rotate. But Chelsea rotating is basically just playing another one of their first teams a lot of the time. So it kind of is what it is. On that basis, I think we may as well just go ahead and kind of come up with some predictions. I'll start with you, Claire. How do you feel about it? How optimistic are you? And
well,
then,
I'm always optimistic, and obviously I'm
course.
hoping for 4-0 as
Yeah.
usual. But I think realistically, I think this season Chelsea are there for the beating if you are brave enough to turn up and go at them.
Yeah.
They're going to give you plenty of room to play because they want plenty of room to play. But, you know, if we can turn up like we have done the last couple of games, I think we could snatch it 1-0 and nick the points. I'm hopeful that they might have a little bit of a hangover from winning being a bit overexcited and having a bit of a, busy weekend with that might just come into it a little bit for them. They've got to play, I think, London City at the weekend, so they'll be looking at this as 2 easy games coming up, I would imagine. Do you know what I mean? No disrespect to either team, but I think then they're not looking at it the same as they would be Arsenal, Man City if they had them coming up. So they might rest a couple, I don't know, maybe, but yeah, I just don't see why we can't beat them. We have proven and shown that when we turn up and we play these teams ball for ball and minute for minute and don't be scared of them, we can do them. So, let's go and do them.
Let's have a go. So am I putting you down for a 4-0 or 1-0?
I'm going 1-0, but if we get 4, I'm taking it.
In your heart of hearts.
It would be lovely, wouldn't it? But I don't see Chelsea being that bad, to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that there's the possibility. I think even at the weekend they didn't play particularly well.
No.
But they are a team that has the ability to score goals, and they are a team that has a winning mindset, and so they will just keep going and keep going. So if we can hold them off for as long as possible, and then we can still nick one, we're going to have to go park the bus. I think they will come at us, but I don't see why we can't get through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it feels like it's going to be a very different game from the one at the end of last year, calendar year, as it were. In fact, I don't know whether this went out on the WSL the interview, the Dario's pre-match interview, because I can't remember who asked it. It's normally only the broadcasters' questions that get broadcast, but he did say in the first half we were like garden gnomes, which I thought was quite an accurate assessment, to be honest with you. So we were like garden gnomes, and they just played round us, and then they got better in the second half, and but it's too late, and that sort of thing. So again, respect for the candor. You got to be honest about these things. There's no point blowing smoke at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So, what a fantastic image that was. Abby, do you see it any differently to Claire?
No, I was going to go for a 1-0, to be fair.
We're all on the 1-0.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. Whatever we think of them, and only because I dislike Manchester United, am I quite pleased that they won at the weekend, which is why I didn't win the game, because I didn't really give tuppence for it. And I was watching Eastbourne Borough being beaten 6-2, 8-2. Sorry.
You've forgotten the last two.
Yeah, blocked out the last two. They are a good team. As Claire, quite rightly said, or you said, or someone said, their bench players are first team players anywhere else, and are starting anywhere else.
Yeah.
And almost their entire first 11 could, still have a hangover, and they could have a world-class team to put on the pitch. That's just, their setup at the moment. So it is always going to be a tough ask, but we can beat them. We showed that when we should have won at the Broadfield, when, Lauren James was massively offside, and we all haven't forgotten about it. And we'll still bring it up every time we talk about Chelsea. What happened the last time they were at the Broadfield was, just really disappointing. And I'm hoping that, Fran and Yele can just, whip everybody up into a little bit of, we need to beat them. But we do need to beat them. We do need to, we need at least to come away with a draw.
Yes.
Because we are 8th in the table at the moment. We've got 2 games in hand, which is lovely. And I think if we win, then we might even go above LCL. But we need the points, because if you look at, and I've now lost a bit of my screen that was showing me what we needed to do. But if you look at our, sort of upcoming games, they're tough. We've got Chelsea, then we've got Liverpool at home, which should be good. Then we've got Leicester at home. But after that, we've got Arsenal in the Cup, Man City, Man United, Arsenal. And then I think we finish off the season with Tottenham, which I'm not going to because my wife says I can't go. So we really, from this game, certainly from the Leicester and the Liverpool game, we need to get something. So I'm going to go for 1-1.
Okay,
this one.
Fair
I'd
enough.
like it to be 1-0. I'd like it to be 2-0, but I think it's going to be close, because they are not the sort of team to, not like, no offense to Leicester, but we scored 1 against Leicester and then it was just like, oh, lovely, everybody else can go and have a go. I think they're the sort of team that if they do lose, it's by a very small margin. But they have lost this season. They've lost to Everton. So they could lose to us. And I'd dearly love to go to Kings Meadow and beat them.
Yeah,
that would be very nice.
Satisfying, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then we can all tweet out to Mr. Skinner, that's how you do it.
Yeah. If only we'd have been in the League Cup final, we would
Not
have done
quite.
it. Yeah. Ben, I'm assuming you're probably going for a similar sort of set of results.
Yeah, I mean,
still optimistic.
I'm the optimistic one. So I mean, I'm going to say 2-1. Charlie in the comments has just said he can't see us putting past two past them, but we put 2 past them twice last season.
I think Tim did say 2-1, so he's confident of 2.
I think I think Dario's right about the game at Broadfield. Was it December, November? That we just didn't. I mean, they just come off that defeat, and I think we were kind of rabbits in the headlights a bit.
Yeah.
And got blown away. Even though we only conceded 1 in the first half, we kind of got blown away by them. And then we had the unlucky own goal in the second half, and then by that time it was kind of game over. So I think that we gave them 2 good games last year, so we owe them at least 1 this year. So I think we're going to have a good time there. And as Claire said, they do let you play because they want to play. They don't shut the spaces down because they want space to play in too. So if you can take advantage of that, I mean, obviously we are missing Kiko, we're missing Moeka and Charlie as well, but I think Kiko's the big miss. But at the same time, they've missing Sam Kerr and Eddie Carpenter, and they've just for some reason shipped out Guro Wrighton. So which is just a very strange one to me, really. But I think we can we can go there and we can give them a good game, and hopefully like I said, there were scenes of sort of Lucy Bronze staggering around the dressing room, dancing around the dressing room with a couple of bottles of champagne in their hand. So hopefully she can see.
Hello.
I don't know what happened.
What happened there?
Hang on, we're all coming back. We're all coming back. Bear with.
Ben was cut off in his prime.
Floating
no
through space
idea what
like General
happened
Zod from it.
Right, bear with, because I'm moving people around again. Oh, hang on, Ben's. Oh no, there he is. Ben's is all right. Claire's got me there. I don't know why it's got to be in this order, but it has got to be in this order for some reason. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It's booted us all off simultaneously, but we're all still here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
still
any.
live according to the thing up the top.
Very strange. Yeah.
And we're getting comments and saying we're back, so that's nice.
Yeah. We lost everyone, and then we're back.
So I don't know. I don't quite know. I mean, obviously, Guro Wrighton's not really been featuring hugely this season, but again, I don't know why. But yeah, and I think there have been talk, as I think it was that Charlie reminded us in the chat, that Kat Macario might have gone as well. Although again, she's been peripheral. But I mean, I don't think Sam Kerr's quite been the key player that she has been in the past, but she still is a key player, and she's not there. So Lovely. And if
she's
we can,
still been getting a couple of goals though, hasn't she? So,
yeah, and obviously Lauren James seems to be fit again for the next 10 minutes. So hopefully we can just alert the lino that she's not supposed to be ahead of our final, this is our second to last player when she plays when the ball is played. We should be all right.
Exactly. There we go. That's interesting. I'm also not going to go for a big score, and just force of habit, I don't like putting the same score as anyone else. So I'm probably going to have to go with 0-0. A tough, gritty 0-0.
I'd take a clean out against Chelsea. That'd
it's
be a
a
big
point,
one.
isn't it? It's still anything with a point. I think is a good
away against the current champions. You would take a point, wouldn't you? But I think we know we can shoot for more than that. And I think, you know, again, another sort of Darioism is we go and play every game to win. You know, so you know, we certainly won't be going out there for a draw, but I don't think there would be any absolutely no disgrace in coming away with a draw. You know, but who knows? You shoot for the moon, sometimes you get there. So yeah, should be a good game. I don't know if it's on. I assume it's on some sort of TV. I don't know whether it's on
according to the thing that I've just managed to download myself, don't ask me how. It's on Sky Sports, and the referee is Stacey Pearson.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fascinating document that I've just managed to get. I don't know quite how I've managed it.
Is it? Have you got a peek behind the scenes somewhere?
I think it's on the WSL website. I just Googled or search engined referees for whatever game, it's on so UK broadcast Sky Sports referee Stacey Pearson.
That's good then. Yeah, I don't think that will put people off from going to the game.
No,
the fact it's on Sky Sports. So hopefully it just means that a few people who can't actually attend for whatever reason, which is a common thing on a weekday night, can actually see the game. So that's good.
Yeah.
So we'll move swiftly on to Liverpool. As I say, that will be taking place on Sunday before we see you guys next. So we will have a little chat about that one as well. My main sort of thinking is it kind of is a 6-pointer. I think exactly like you said, Abby. We've got pretty tough games, and then we've got Liverpool and Leicester, and it feels like those are both 6-pointers. We need 6 points out of those two games, but I think if we win those two games, we keep those two firmly behind us. Not so worried about Leicester, but Liverpool are certainly creeping up. And I think they're almost on the verge of doing what we were hoping Everton wouldn't do, which was come good. And now Everton have come good. So now we're all, whereas before it was kind of us, LCL and Aston Villa, we've now got Everton slap bang in the middle of that and Liverpool coming up on the rails. So, it feels very important that we get 3 points against Liverpool, especially at home.
Yeah.
And then obviously go to Leicester and though it's away, we are definitely the stronger team and should take a lot of confidence from obviously playing them at the Amex. Let's go to Ben first, seeing as we went to him last one. What do you think about Liverpool? Is it, do you feel it's sort of like a 6-pointer type thing? We do need to keep these teams below us, or do you think it's maybe a bit of a false dawn for them, and they'll eventually sort of revert to being the kind of bottom 2 or 3 that they were for the first half of the season?
It's difficult because they're sort of, they're winning and losing and winning and losing kind of thing.
Which is better than drawing and drawing and drawing in some ways, isn't it? Because obviously you get three for a win. If you win and lose, you get 1 more point than you get if you draw. So they beat Tottenham and then they lost to Man United and then they beat Villa and then lost to Chelsea kind of thing. So and then obviously they beat Leicester yesterday. I think it's tough because they are a bit hot and cold. They are. Again, it's that sort of bogey team sort of thing, isn't it? That people. I think people talk about Arsenal being someone's bogey team because they've never beaten Arsenal. So they're not. They're not a bogey team. They're just Arsenal. Like Chelsea. Chelsea are their bogey team. No, they're just the big. It's like sort of saying, Manchester City are Accrington Stanley's bogey team because they've never beaten them.
But Liverpool are a team that we should beat comfortably, and we can't. So I think finally we're going to. Obviously they made a few signings in January, mostly by sort of asset stripping Scandinavia, like everybody else has been doing.
Yeah.
And they obviously picked up Denise O'Sullivan as well, which again is something that took a lot of people by surprise, I think. And they sort of spent a bit of their Olivia Smith money on her. But I still think they're not all that. They didn't thrash Leicester. I mean, it was 2-0, but and it's one of those things where if Leicester had any finishing, then they would have, they probably would have got 3 or 4 themselves, kind of thing. They did look very vulnerable, and they didn't look all that great. So I still think we should do them.
Absolutely.
So I'm actually going to say 3-0.
3-0, okay.
Even without Kiko.
I didn't think you were going to go that bold when you're saying about them being our sort of, we struggle against.
No, I think when we do finally do them, it will be properly.
Will beat them convincingly. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, this is the time. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Abby, how about you? We've got a 3-0. I think we're all, I would suggest, relatively confident of a win. But how confident is what it comes down to.
I'm not overly confident against Liverpool because, like Ben said, they're just that tricky team. I might go 2-0, which is potentially a bit more confident than we have been. I think someone's pointed out in the chat that we've only won 4-1 and 1-0 in WSL this season. So 2-0 would be a massive improvement on that. But I don't think it's going to be sort of like the one-way traffic that potentially we would like it to be. But I think Liverpool are very much, in the table where they should be, but then sort of so are we. And so if it was last season against this, it would be a different matter. But yeah, I think 2-0. It'd be interesting to see who's going to step up and get these goals, because Kiko's far and away our biggest goal scorer, and then I think it's Fran. It'd be nice to, like we've always said, we're giving the opportunity to some of these other players. It'd be really great for them to come out and grab them. And against against Liverpool is the time to do it, because Kiko and everybody else is going to be back for the Leicester game. So this is the game that whoever gets to be on the pitch really gets to set their stall out. But I'm still going to stick with 2-0.
Okay. Well, the 4-1, either 4-1 or 1-0 are our results. I think, Claire, I mean, we can combine those two together to a 4-0.
Well, I would love
be an opportunity.
I would love it to be 4-0. That's my score. I want it to be 4-0 every game. But I think Liverpool have turned a corner. I think that they did in January what we should have done, and they stacked up some extra players in there. They got goal scorers. They have turned a corner. They're winning against teams they need to be winning against. And we are a team they need to be winning against. And that's very worrying for me. I feel like this is a more worrying game than going to play Chelsea. Chelsea, you kind of like, whatever we get from that's a bonus. But this is a 6-pointer we should win.
Yeah.
They're going to look at it exactly the same way. They're going to look and go, 6-pointer, we should win it. We're on a winning streak. What have Brighton done lately? They're not going to turn up at the Broadfield worrying about us. They're going to turn up thinking they can get one over on us. And we have to really, really turn up. If we think we've got to turn up against Chelsea, we've got to turn up against this, because this is the sort of game that we've let ourselves down in the past. Doesn't matter how brilliantly we played against London City. We didn't win it.
No.
We didn't win it. It doesn't matter how great we've played against, other teams. We haven't got the results. And Liverpool will be looking at this and going, if we get a draw, that's a good result. If we can snatch it, even better. And we're the team on form out of the two of us. you know, and if we lose these games, like Abby said, we lose these games, we're potentially back down in 8th, 9th position. And I don't see how we come back from that, because we have got to play Arsenal, we have got to play Spurs. You know, it's a dodgy place to be. So, yeah, I really hope the girls are absolutely on the ball this week, just full of confidence, and just go out there, because they have nothing to lose now. They might as well just go out there and play. So, yeah, I will take a 1-0 if that's all. If whatever it is, I will take a 1-0. But obviously, I'd love 4.
Of course, we'll take that as a given. I think.
I just think, it's just that thing we don't have. I don't think we have enough players to get 4 goals. That you know.
No.
Wouldn't
it be nice though to sort of expect to sneak a 1-0 and actually just pummel someone?
Absolutely.
In a while since we
cheering that on, it would be brilliant if we turn up and play that kind of game. Yeah. But I think we thought that was what was going to happen when we went up to Liverpool.
Yeah, I think we
thought the way they were playing at that point, we should have absolutely crushed them 4-0, and we barely scraped a 1-1 draw.
That was their first point, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so they'll be looking at that, going, "Yeah, well, they haven't beaten us."
Absolutely.
They didn't put 9 past us like Chelsea did. They're just they only barely scraped a point. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be scared of us at all.
No, I probably would have gone for a 1-0. So I think I'll still go for a 1-goal margin, and I'll say 2-1. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It'll be interesting to see the team selection for Chelsea on the basis of the game against Chelsea is a bit of I wouldn't say it's a free hit, but I think you could take a risk and hope that it pays off. Yeah. Whereas I think with Liverpool, you've got to go with the tried and trusted.
Yeah.
You know, so like I think if we're losing by, I don't think we will necessarily be losing by a couple of goals to Chelsea, but if we are, I'd probably take Fran and Yele off at half time, because we need them to beat Liverpool.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think Fran will want to come off at half time, to be honest with you, playing against Chelsea.
Fran will want to play every single minute of that game.
I mean, it would be.
She's already kicking it in her sleep now. I think she's been playing that game for the last 3 or 4 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, probably for the last 2 or 3 seasons almost.
Possibly, yeah.
She's been injured every time.
Yeah, she keeps missing them, doesn't she? So,
yeah.
And she played at Broadfield last year.
Yeah.
Is that okay.
So almost she ought to have scored, but she ended up hitting Hannah Hampton in the face with it instead.
Yeah. So she did eventually get her game, but she'll want to have a really good game against them, particularly at Kingsmeadow, you would have thought. Show them what they're missing, sort of thing. So we shall see. So before we love you and leave you, we just want to have a very brief chat about the International Women's Day event that the club held last Tuesday, so 6 days ago, a couple of days actually after International Women's Day, which was on the Sunday. We were all in attendance. It was at Rockwater in Hove, which I've not been to before. I've heard very good things, and I know a couple of our panel have been there before. It was a really excellent evening. A very nice surprise when we turned up and saw the menus, which didn't have prices on, which initially I thought meant you shouldn't really ask what the price is, because you know that's normally the case if there's no price. Turned out that actually the food and drink that they put on was complimentary, which I thought was a really good touch. I know they have done things for the men's team in the past for their sort of top supporters and people who have been to a lot of games and things like that, which the majority of the people who were invited to this International Women's Day event were they'd been to a certain amount of games at least. So I thought that was a really nice touch, not to have people there sort of worrying about how much it was all going to cost and things like that. The food and drink was very nice. I think Ben and my wife, possibly others, tried to fool me into eating seafood, which I successfully defended against. I know when something fishy's going on or something fishy's in my hand, and I successfully avoided that. But I'll start with Claire on this one. What did you think of the event? What did you make of it? Was it sort of worthwhile? And would you like to see more of this sort of thing?
Yeah, I thought it was good fun. It was a great opportunity. I was surprised it wasn't at the terrace, to be fair. I thought that was the point of the terrace, but I don't care. I like Rockwater. I've been there a few times, and I am the one that has been up in the terrace quite a lot up there. So yeah, nice cocktails on the roof. Terrace is lovely, but yeah, it was nice, and I think it was a nice touch that, like you say, it was a free bar and free food. I think that's been needed, to be fair. I think there is often a lot of kind of, well, the men are getting this and the men are getting that. Why are we never getting anything? So it was nice to actually be kind of recognised as important to their fan base as anyone else. Most of the team were there. I thought that was a good turnout. There was a lot from there. We had some other sporting personalities from in the district, which was nice. It was nice to just hear different stories of how people have, I'm sure many of us of my age, especially, have all played some kind of sporting endeavour at some point in our youth, and the opportunities for people like us wasn't available then. It was a very much something you were going to do as a hobby. If you were really lucky, you might earn 50p, but it wasn't something that you were going to make a living out of and become a superstar. So now to be able to watch these women doing the dream that we all had as youngsters, and being able to go along to these sorts of events and support that and recognise it, I think is a really, really well done, because I don't think they did anything last year, and I think they got a bit kind of slapped, didn't they, Brighton, as a club for the lack of things that went on last year or didn't go on. So yeah, it was good to see, and it's always nice for to catch up with people that we haven't seen at the game for a couple of weeks, because we do all hang out when we go to the games, and it is nice to catch up and see everybody and have a bit of a giggle. And it's nice to do it outside of the game, I think, as well, where you can just be a bit chilled and be, sitting back and relaxing and, watching Duncan dodge fish, which was...
Dodge fish and win hospitality.
I didn't realise you didn't like fish that much, but, there we go.
Yes, as I say, dodge fish and win. Well, I say win. I got runner-up in the quiz. I didn't win the quiz. Lucy, some people will be familiar with Lucy Helford, who, and her mum Angie. Lucy actually won the quiz and is attending England-Spain in hospitality. And I think, as far as I'm aware, I might be too, even though I came second. So that would be very nice. So yeah, looking forward to that. I've on a bit of myself and my daughter Ruby have been on a bit of a winning streak. So
Ruby.
Yeah, I know.
I said, didn't we? As soon as we sat down and they said there was some sort of prize, I was like, she's going to win it. She's going to win it. She always bleeding wins it.
It's a bit suspicious that she got the exact same score as me, but no, to be fair,
it's a bit suspicious that I didn't, because I was copying you, and I still didn't get it. I was like, how have I missed one?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I wasn't monitoring her the whole time, but I'm pretty sure we did have one or two different. So I suspect there must have been one that she got and I didn't, and vice versa, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, she's getting herself some nice Nike, women's rugby items and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But just in general, again, another really cool thing, having a quiz, getting everyone involved. It was all on the phones, a bit like they have at the terrace. Again, Claire, like you say, a bit surprised that, it wasn't at the terrace. I mean, I can kind of imagine why, and that's because of, if they open the terrace, they have to staff it, security, blah, blah, blah. Whereas I suppose with Rockwater, it's all open already. But then again, it's like, but should it be at the terrace, even if it is kind of a little bit more, a little bit more cost? I don't know. It's entirely up to them. And either way, it was much appreciated. I thought really good event overall. Abby, what did you think of it?
Yeah, very much the same as Claire. I mean, as you know, I had a bit of a car issue in which my car just decided the driving was not in its future on the Tuesday. And I got home and eventually having to be rescued by the RAC and so on. And I got home and I was very much on that, 2-minute decision. Do I try and get to this event, or do I just sack it off and stay at home? And it was like, I can go and see my friends. Haven't seen them for ages. Probably going to feel like I've missed out. And then I was like, I really hope this is worth it, because it involved a taxi, a train, 2 buses. And if anybody who knows me, the fact that I navigated all of that without ending up in Aberystwyth is a miracle. I ended up at the right place, a little bit late, but it was very, very worth it. It was a very good evening. I completely agree with having it at the terrace, because that would have negated, a train and 2 buses, to be perfectly honest, for me. But I think the number of people that were invited would have been lost in the terrace.
Quite possibly.
I think that it felt packed because it was quite small as a venue. But if you'd have put that in the terrace, I think we'd have all got a little bit lost and would have been wandering around, and then they might have been tempted to have, opened it up to even more, and it actually really worked the number it was.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think it was really nice. I was very surprised at the amount of players that were there. When they said, there's going to be players, I was just like, right, there's going to be 3 academy players and this, that, and the other. But pretty much if they were the first team and they were in the country, they were there. Dario was there. Dario went and spoke to absolutely, before he left, I think he went and shook hands with absolutely everybody. It was brilliant. So really, hats off to him for that. The more I see of Dario, the more impressed I am. But no, it was a really nice event, really good. Again, I'm amazed that I didn't do better at the quiz, because I was just, crowdsourcing from those around me, but never mind. I obviously made up my own mind on a couple of questions, and that was a silly thing to do. But no, it was very, very good, very well put together. It was a nice area. I have to say there were half of the people I didn't recognise because they looked all very smart. And I think it was halfway through the game, I was like, that's who that is. Because seeing them without their usual sort of Brighton and Hove
exactly.
pieces on. And I thought, everyone's actually, sort of like, brush their hair and put a shirt on. It was, quite impressive. But no, it was very, very nice. And as ever, it's nice to get together as a group of fans. But yeah. And just from my part, thank you to you and the club for inviting me and for us to be there.
Well, I think, I feel like without sort of tooting our own horn, this is the sort of thing that we should be at. I mean, we are at the moment almost virtually the sole supporters club. The other 2 are kind of under construction, I think, at the moment. So it makes sense that we were there, and that we also managed to help a few other people to get there as well, who may or may not have got invites and stuff like that. So it almost felt a little bit like one of those moments where you think, this is where I feel like our hard work has produced a result. Obviously we're looking for results in all areas. We want more listeners, we want to help more fans, we want to do lots of things, but every now and again it is nice to kind of go, we kind of deserve that, and I think it's okay to sort of say that sometimes. So it was a really good vibe. I think the staff were fantastic. There were obviously staff there helping, and they were absolutely great. Like we had one of them came up and was helping us with the quiz, because the acoustics weren't great in there, so she was kind of trying to help give us some of the questions, feed them back to us and stuff.
I was very disappointed she wasn't giving me the answers.
Yes, we did ask a couple of times if we could have the answers, but sadly not. Otherwise we would have got 25.
Was she? She was not for bribing.
No. She was very, very gracious about it, though. She fended us off quite well. But also there were quite a few members of staff from the club who weren't working, but kind of being able to talk to them and kind of be around them in that environment, I think is really good for kind of that supporter club relations kind of thing. The fact that I could kind of just corner Dario and kind of have a sort of 15-20 minute chat myself, and Charlie sort of cornered him and asking questions and stuff like that, obviously all off the record, but you know, just the fact that we could do that, and he was willing to talk to us, and you know, very gracious with his time, and you know, obviously passed on our condolences about his dad and things like that. So you know, it's just it's all fantastic. There was a little moment on the pre-match press conference earlier today where we couldn't quite hear the lady. It wasn't Heather today, it was a different lady who was basically telling us when it was our time to ask questions, and I hadn't actually, all the questions I had lined up had already been asked, but Dario was still sitting there, we're all sitting there, and I'm thinking, what's going on? And then basically Dario said, Duncan, have you got a question? And I was like, oh, and I don't know why, but normally I panic in situations like that, but I've started to get used to it. So I actually thought of 2 questions straight off the spot, but I just thought like it was the way Dario said it, like, you know, in the nicest possible way, like he knows who we are. He knows who I am. Yeah. You know, and it wasn't, I would have died of embarrassment probably 6 months or 12 months ago. And now it's like a kind of just a bit of a joke about the fact that no one could hear each other, and everyone was waiting for me to say something. So, you know, that's the sort of thing, you know, just more stuff like that, more. And it doesn't have to be free drinks. It doesn't have to be free food. You know, that's nice every now and again, but we all know there's a limit to that sort of thing. And you know, if it means more events like that, then I'm sure we're all willing to put our hands in our pockets, you know, if needed. So, you know, if I could say one thing, it would just be more opportunities to do things like that, the better. Ben, how did you find it, despite trying to poison me with a piece of calamari?
Oh, you missed out. That was some good squid. It was fantastic, wasn't it? I think you know, I was, you know, looking forward to sort of a nice thing, and it really did you know, outdo all expectations. I think, you know, lovely chat with, there was a group of players who were sort of messing around with the there was the sort of photo booth thing, so I had a lovely chat with Maddie Haley and Bex Rayner, Lily Nordam and Baggers, and you know, just about stuff and things and what they've been up to, because obviously those 4 haven't been away on international break, so what they've been up to and the training that they've been doing. And you know, Maddie was telling me how amazing Bex had been in training, so we look forward to that this week. And then lovely chat with Maylise and Pome later on, because you know, my 18-year-old daughter doesn't like football, but she does like French, so we were just chatting about that kind of stuff. And again, as I said earlier, I had a nice chat with Dario and things, but it was just really, really, really nice night. And I think as you say, well, as Abby said, I think it would have been a bit echoey in the terrace, even if it had just been, you know, it would have been the upstairs bit. It still would have been a very big venue for sort of something that was actually quite intimate. And then, again, as you say, if it's a bigger venue, then there's a temptation to invite more people, and then it becomes less intimate, and then it's just you sitting around with a load of people on the stage, and it's, you know, you lose something. So it was really, really nice. And I had actually a really, really nice chat with Pippa and Lucy, who run the
that was going to be my next thing to say,
in Brighton, the new bar in Brighton that shows it's a women's sports bar, not for women only, but actually it's not even women's only sport, because if there's no women's sport, they'll show men's sport. But just a really nice chat with them, and I think Claire was talking about maybe doing an event there. I was mostly talking to Pippa about the doggos, because they've got a blue roan cocker spaniel called Paddy, who I'm a bit of a fan of. He's not the only reason I follow them on Instagram, but you know, he's a big part of it.
He'll have his own Instagram soon.
Yeah. So, but it was just really, really nice, wasn't it? And as Abby said, he sort of recognised people. Recognising people outside their usual sort of match day costumes and stuff like that. Fantastic. And I think I didn't do the quiz myself, which is probably a good thing, because I think I might have got most of the Albion questions right, but probably would have struggled with most of the others. Like I think there was one about tennis, and it's like, but I think actually when the quiz started, I was a bit too busy at the buffet. So by the time I realised there was a thing on your phone, I'd already.
You were snaffling all the calamari.
Then, so. It was just really again, and I think, you know, well, obviously we haven't had the open training session, which we're supposed to have had this season, but that was kind of better, really. I mean, obviously there were 9 players there, which is, again, something, pretty much all the ones that didn't go on international duty, and then Yeli Chankovic and Maisie were back. So that, again, as I said, that's more than we thought. I think, we thought maybe they'd be, I did expect Maisie to be there because she is the skipper and she's, she's up for that sort of thing anyway. But, the fact that 9 of them turned up, it was really, really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think maybe this sort of thing, it probably was right that it was at the Rockwater. I think maybe there are other women's events and stuff and to things to do with the women's team where maybe you would want to open it up to, I wouldn't say necessarily as many people as you could get, but a wider audience perhaps. But yeah, this it trod the right line of intimate and kind of also welcoming, and there was we pretty much recognized everyone to a certain extent. Whether they be other fans that we interact with on away days and things like that, members of the band, but also obviously players and staff and things like that. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. More, please. Just a slightly louder microphone. And also, it's Maisie Simons, not Simmons.
Actually, the outgoing under 23. I think she's just been, I've forgotten her name. She's just been interim under 23 manager.
Did she say Simmons?
Called her Simmons in a post-match interview.
Yeah, I really should know the players' names. But yeah, other than that, yeah, absolutely fantastic. And couldn't say enough good things. So if the club want me to write a review for TripAdvisor or something, then just let me know. I can be bribed. So I think, is there any other business, or are we?
There is. Is it the foundation doing their thing?
Yes. I even made a special note of that to mention that, and I didn't. So well caught there, Claire.
Well, I thought I'd better in case Joe was listening.
Joe will be listening, and she would have pulled me up on that. She would have pulled me up on that. So for the Liverpool game, obviously it's at home. The Albion Foundation are doing their sort of match day takeover. They tend to do it sort of once a season. They're going to be doing a raffle in there, and obviously they have lots of stuff to do with the foundation. You can find out all about how you can support them, how you can donate with them, but also all the other things that they do, like training sessions and stuff for the kids, all over Sussex. Pretty much, you name it, there's somewhere nearby where there's an Albion Academy sort of thing going on. So do head in there before you go into the stadium. I have heard on the grapevine they've got some good prizes for the raffle, so well worth a shout. And obviously if you don't win, it's still going to a good cause. I don't know whether I should enter because
can you give us all another chance? Keep that Ruby indoors, don't bring her.
It feels like cheating at this
Let
point.
the rest of us have a chance.
So definitely head in there, go and check them out, go and say hello to everyone, and buy a few raffle tickets whilst you're there. Why not? Yes, so I think that will wrap us up. Remember, you can find us at SheGulls on X or Twitter, and of course on Instagram, run by a friend of the pod, Steve Gibbs over there in Germany. You can find us at SheGulls.com, where there are obviously links to all our other bits and bobs. And you can email us directly at SheGullsPodcast@outlook.com, or alternatively use the contact us page. I helped a very nice lady out with getting to book a couple of tickets for the Chelsea game on the coach. So I was very pleased to be able to do that. And that was all through, just getting in touch with us via the contact us page. I could point her in the right direction. And we've got 2 more people coming to the Chelsea game. So fantastic. That's what it's all about. We are also on Facebook. So just head over there, search for SheGulls Podcast. And whilst you're there, do give Brighton Women fans a follow for more general Albion chat. Big thank you to our Patreon subscribers, as always. To Jess and to Ben, thank you very much for your ongoing contributions. Hopefully more stuff to be added soon, and of course to Tim, who couldn't work out Patreon but has sent us a very nice donation all the same, and Joe, who always helps us out in times of need. As I said before, it genuinely is you guys who keep the show running, so really appreciate that. And all that remains for me to say is a massive thank you to you, Ben.
Well, thank you all.
An enormous thank you to you, Claire.
You're welcome.
A gigantic thank you to you, Abby.
Thank you.
And I shall say this has been the SheGulls podcast, powered by Albion Obsessed.